Man, I cannot wait for this matchup. Jackson State versus North Carolina Central. Two respected teams. I respect North Carolina Central so much. A team that has developed their own type of culture, a winning formula, talented quarterback, respected head coach in Trey Oliver. Then you got Jackson State, great coordinators, a talented quarterback, Shadir Sanders, and the leader of the team, in my opinion, Aubrey Miller, who is the heartbeat of the JSU team, defense overall. I'll chime in. What's good, everyone? This is RawTruth Media, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Please like and share this video throughout all social media platforms. Peace and blessings, peace and joy to everyone listening. Finally, we could talk about the game. We've talked about all the hoopla and all the stuff, and you know what I'm talking about. Now it's time to focus on the players. They deserve this. Both North Carolina Central and Jackson State. So these next couple of days, these next 2 weeks, everything's supposed to be about ball. Nothing else matters. And when the Celebration Bowl starts, I know for a fact that the players of Jackson State, the ones that play, of course, are going to play with pride. They're going to play inspired, motivated, and the same as North Carolina Central. I think they'll play with hunger, somewhat of an underdog, even though they only lost 2 games. They're a very good team. But these are things that I think both teams will work on until the Celebration Bowl. Let me start with North Carolina Central. Now, we all know that Davis Richard is the guy that stirs the drink. This is an analogy, by the way. He's the guy that brings it all together. If you need him to throw for 400 yards, he'll do it. If you need him to run for almost 100 plus yards, he can do that too. Whatever the game plan is, you can count on him. He's very smart. He is a leader of men. When he's in the huddle and his teammates are looking at him, they believe in him. They believe that Davis Richard can take them to the promised land and get them wins. So I believe that Trey Oliver and company, they're going to look at that Southern game and they're going to look at that part where Glendon McDowell was playing. And they're going to say to themselves, wait a minute, we got a quarterback better than him, which is true. Davis Richard is a lot better than Glendon McDowell. Nothing against McDowell. But Davis Richard is the truth. They have talented running backs. Latrell Collier averages close to 6 yards per carry. 5.5 yards, that is, but close enough. Almost 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Great vision. That running game with the quarterback, Davis Richard, and Latrell Collier, watch out for that. If there's any weakness on the Jackson State defense, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they'll give up a big run early on and then they'll adjust. But don't forget, this is a defense that's coached by Dennis Thurman, who's doing a damn good job, by the way. Who takes chances, likes to blitz, and you don't know where the blitz is coming from. Expect them to get E.J. Hicks, their star receiver, involved. Expect them to be in a slot more, to attack that middle. They're not going to attack the corners that much, the outside corners, which is smart. I always said, if you're going to attack anywhere on that JSU defense, you got to do it through the middle. You're better off attacking the slot corner than the outside corner of JSU. Now, the slot corners are nothing to sneeze at, but the outside DBs are so much of a lockdown DB that it's tough to get a fade route on them. Now, Southern had a couple of them last game, but there were so many players out. I'm not making excuses, but you all have heard that the flu bug was all around the team. I saw some second, third string DBs play. A bunch of players played. So don't expect this JSU defense to look like what it did in the SWAC championship game. Expect North Carolina Central to also implement different route concepts, more crossing routes. The best way to attack a blitz is underneath crossing routes. I say about 10 to 8 yards, shorten it, because you don't have all day to pass the ball against that JSU defense. We got Aubrey Miller and company just on full attack mode, and you don't know where the blitz is coming from. And you got Niles Gaddy, who's playing excellent football. I'm gonna make a video on that, by the way. But let me digress. The crossing routes and how you run your routes will be key for North Carolina Central. I'm telling you, shorten those routes, take what you can. If there's a deep shot available, take it. If not, live to see another day. So if you're North Carolina Central, you don't want to do long progressing plays. You do that, the Jackson State defense will get back there. But I think that North Carolina Central will be prepared like all MEAC teams. They don't have a championship game, so they have extra weeks to prepare. Where the SWAC team has just your standard 2 weeks. Now to Jackson State. It's really simple for them, but it will be difficult at the same time. Now you're asking me, DJ, what do you mean simple but sometimes difficult? Well, the simple part is they know what they have to work on as a team. Consistency, especially on offense. Now, they have been more consistent this year than last year in games. Now, sometimes offense will have a slow start, but against Southern, offense was really on a roll. And it did help that the defense caused a lot of turnovers. I'm not worried about the Jackson State defense. Aubrey Miller's last game, he's going to be ready to play. He's going to play and rep the J to the fullest. He is the leader of that team. And right now, I believe he's the one keeping this team together. Now, we'd be a fool to say they're not distracted. When you lose your head coach, when all the focus is about Colorado and Colorado recruiting, JSU's losing recruits, it gets to people. I want to see how they respond. I'm telling you right now, if Jackson State finds a way to win this game, despite all of the adversity, this will be historic, of epic proportions. I kid you not. I'm not just bluffing. I'm not just blowing up smoke. I'm telling you, this will be very historic, not just being 13-0, which a lot of teams, no matter if it's SWAC or any FCS team, never been. It's very tough to be 13-0. Only a few teams have been that in FCS. But preparation is things they got to work on, just being consistent on what they have to do starting out in the game on offense. Establish the running game, because they're going to sit on those passes, meaning North Carolina Central, they're going to do exactly what, and I'm telling you right now, they're going to do exactly what South Carolina State did last year. They're not going to play straight up man-to-man. They're going to drop 8. Now, what Shadir got to do is not lock into one receiver. I know he likes to go to Daniels, and that's good. But if someone's open, you got to let it rip. But I see why he likes going to Daniels. Daniels is a great route runner, so he doesn't freestyle on his routes. He has excellent hands, and he can run out to the catch better than anybody. Now, people are going to think I'm nitpicking, but this is RawTruth Media. You know how we do. I want to see Malachi Wideman play. I want to see him be utilized because he is the most talented receiver. And I'm talking about raw talent. Dallas Daniels, he's talented as well. Coleman Jr., very talented. I think Kevin Coleman's going to play his last game at Jackson State. It's a bummer, but you know, when your coach tells you one thing and he goes to another job, these things happen, unfortunately. Expect Travis Hunter to play both DB and wide receiver. The DBs at North Carolina Central are very athletic, but Jackson State's wide receiver core is just much talented than every single DB, opposing DB they play against. It doesn't matter if it's the DBs in the top 10. There's no DB in the FCS, or DB unit that is, that can play Jackson State man-to-man. Everybody has to play zone. I go a step further. North Dakota State, if they ever played this, like hypothetically, if they played this year's Jackson State team, they would never go man-to-man. They would go zone, which is smart. You don't go man-to-man on an air raid team like this. But this is the last game of the season. I would like to see JSU have their best wide receiver core. So I would like to see Malachi out there with Dallas Daniels, Kevin Coleman Jr., and Shane Hooks and Travis Hunter as the fifth receiver, going in and out on offense, on defense, whatever works. This is the last game, and the best offensive unit needs to be out there. Now for defense. Last week, or this past game, that is, against Southern, the championship game, the DBs really did not do a good job in the second half. And I get it. You're playing as a defense that likes to blitz, but really it's just eye discipline. But heck, I don't want to be too tough on this defense because they've been the most consistent unit this whole season. And then with all the coach leaving and all that situation, I didn't want to overly critique that team that day because what they accomplished going 12-0, hearing all that damn noise is impressive. But I like to see more eye discipline like they've been doing this season. Shiloh Sanders, if he comes back and plays, it would be a big help. They missed Shiloh so bad. But if they get their players healthy, a lot of them didn't play because of flu-like symptoms. They're going to get them back. And I expect the defense to run accordingly. Lastly, I want the focus to be, and I said this earlier in this video, but I want the focus to be on the players. I mean that. I don't want this to be the last hurrah of the coach. We respect what Coach Prime has done, elevating HBCUs in the spotlight, donating, you name it. But if the brother thinks that he's going to get like a big final cheer because you're going to Colorado when you said you were going to stay for HBCUs to level to playing field. And some people may say, he didn't say stay. But when you insinuate that, you can understand why some Jackson State fans are disappointed. See, that's what we got to do as fellow brothers and sisters. We got to learn to step into other people's shoes and understand where someone's coming from. Let's make it about the players. The reason why some Jackson State fans, I know people disagree with them on this subject, the reason why they do not want Coach Prime coaching this game is because they didn't want it to make it all about him in Colorado, taking away the joy of the players and the fans. The fans couldn't even enjoy the SWAC championship game. Some of them did, but a lot of them couldn't because it didn't feel real. They didn't feel the love from the situation because it looks like the coach was ready to catch the jet to Colorado. So if Deion Sanders is coaching this game, let's make it about the players and nobody else. That's all I ask for. These kids deserve it. They've been working their tail off. They want to make history. And then you got North Carolina Central. That team wants to make history as well. It's going to be an exciting game. Let's make it about football. I'm gonna be honest, I'm getting a little annoyed about all the other shenanigans. I want to make it about seeing a competitive game against two talented teams. And to the players who are most likely going to leave JSU, I wish you nothing but the best. No ill will. This is not your fault. I don't blame student athletes leaving when they were told one thing and something goes different. It's part of athletics. I hate that it's like that, but the players who do stay, not only just Jackson State, but the ones who stay at HBCUs and you graduate and get that degree, you're going to be remembered for a long time. Aubrey Miller, his legacy is going to be cemented. No matter what happens in this game, when he graduates, when he goes to the Reese's Senior Bowl as a graduate of Jackson State, he's going to leave a bigger legacy than those who leave. Just keeping it real. This is RawTruth Media. Peace and love to everyone listening, no matter if you agree or disagree. Thank you for tuning in. I'm out.